Well, I'm sure if any of you have been looking at the news or social media, what's the difference at this point? Over the past few days, you have seen numerous claims of voter fraud abound. Yes. One of the refrains of many of us on the right appears to be that Donald Trump has been illegitimately defrauded his rightful opportunity and certainty, apparently, of winning the election, and there must be a struggle against these nefarious, eldritch, elusive, forces that seek to threaten his ability to retain hold of the White House. These past few days, my friends, I'll just be honest with you, have been a struggle for me. They have been a lesson in the cognitive dissonance, disappointment, just internal strife of all kinds. Because I will let you know my ideological presuppositions before I even start my analysis. I believe 100% in liberty. I believe in the power, the primacy of the individual. I believe the tradition of liberty that America was conceived from is one of the most powerful, brilliant, and philosophically consistent principles, manifestations, systems that cohere with the truth of our human condition and are founded upon that reality of divine providence, that human beings get their rights not from man, but from God. I believe America is a fundamental manifestation of that. And I don't want Joe Biden to win the election. But just as I believe that America is the extension of the fact, of objective reality, of objective rights, I believe that facts exist, and the facts are not on the side of the voter fraud conspiracies. I won't spend too much time in this video debunking things, because pretty much they've already been debunked. Whether it's with the Detroit situation, where apparently you had election counters boarding up windows, which caused a lot of people, a lot of vote challengers to be angry, particularly more Republican ones, and it caused a lot of videos to surface around social media showing these vote challengers not able to see, or from the vantage point of the video, not able to see the counting. But what it didn't show you is that the reason they boarded up the windows is because there was a bunch of people disrupting the vote, trying to disrupt the vote count, who were screaming and were taking pictures, which are violations of Michigan state law, and there were already hundreds of vote challengers from both Democratic and Republican sides present in the counting room. They didn't tell you this, though. Videos don't tell you this. Outrage doesn't tell you this. Going into a situation, trying to impose your idea of reality upon that situation and manifest forth a solution, which is not really a solution but a regression, does not tell you that. This is the underlying theme that affects the voter fraud situation, the conspiracies. And this is what no one's talking about. They're all saying, oh, well, this is false, haha. But no, there's a reason why people feel like this way. There's a reason why Trump voters feel like this. There's a reason why this alienation exists in American society. And I am here to tell you right now, my friends, it threatens to rend this country apart. It threatens to rend this system apart. It threatens to rend the fabric of our cohesive existence apart if we do not confront it and we do not nip this spirit of discontent in the bud right now, right here. This is a country that survived a tyrannical king, that survived Jim Crow, that has survived just terrible attacks on its sovereignty by cave-dwelling terrorists. This is a country that has arisen to the occasion whenever it's needed to. This is the greatest manifestation of individualism on the earth. And yet, I am seeing surrogates for certain candidates calling for violence because they have suspicions of voter fraud. I am seeing people, on the left especially, attempting to invalidate anyone who supported someone differently than them as crazy, kooky. I am seeing everyone melt down. And look, meltdowns, they happen. They're part of the human condition. But meltdowns, my friends, when they refer to our systems, the systems by which we exercise our natural rights, those are not mere meltdowns. Those are catastrophes baking in the oven. Catastrophes ready to be delivered and served. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of who you voted for or what you think about either candidate, you must operate in reality. The American experiment was predicated upon an affirmation of reality. The reality that human beings are free, and that freedom should flow forth in every social interaction, and political interactions should cohere with that truth, and should cohere with society, and the condition of society should be that of freedom. But right now, the agitations of violence, the Antifa shock troops, who are lying in wait, just waiting for the votes to be counted and go a different way than they want them to, the Republican surrogates that are screaming and saying, stop the vote, because they feel as if fraud is happening without any clear evidence. This is going to destroy our country. This is not alarmism. This is simply fact. I do not believe at 12:34 a.m., November 6, 2020, there is any substantial evidence to say that there is election fraud going on. There is incompetence. There have been irregularities, I suppose. But there's irregularities every election. And the irregularities that have been seen are being extrapolated through a bunch of very odd and complex reasoning that's not really all that sound to mean something broader, something sinister. Why? Because it's very simple. Us on the right are having an identity crisis. But we are allowing ourselves, many of us on the right, are allowing ourselves to be arrested by this particular moment in time, to be bound by this temporal fervor, and then to take that and allow it to color our perception of everything. That we shouldn't do that, my friends. If there is evidence of voter fraud that arises, and it is presented in a courtroom setting, and it is sufficiently substantiated, I will be the first one to say, okay, let's reevaluate things. Let's indict people. Let's change things. Let's preserve our systems. But there's only been whispers. There hasn't even been anything solid. Whispers and extrapolations that have not really led to a general conclusion. So, the real thing here is this. What are you doing to further the idea of America? The dream of America? Because regardless of if the current president wins or not, the American experiment will face enemies. It will face strong enemies. It will face furious enemies. But you have a gridlock Congress now. So the enemies that it can face now have a roadblock in their way. How about that? You have Republican state legislatures holding on. The enemies that we will face will have even more roadblocks along the way. How about that? My friends, if this was really rigged and stolen, don't you think that it would have been a little bit more convincing? Because there was this theory of a blue wave coming to wash over America and make sure all of us are progressive at the end of the day, or these states go progressive. But guess what? It never transpired. But with the expectation of a blue wave, wouldn't it have been very easy for the proposed riggers to rig state legislative elections, Senate elections, to coincide with this blue wave? Because then the legitimacy would be even more sound, because guess what? The polls were saying it. Either these people who are supposedly rigging the votes are not very strategic, they're stupid, or the votes are not being rigged at all, and our discontent towards the election results reflects something about ourselves as opposed to the American system. Think on it. As always, my friends, I love you. Even if you hate me after this video, even if you unsubscribe from me, I still love you. My Trump supporting friends, I still love you, I adore you, I understand you. And I want you to be alright. I want this country to be alright. But we have to adhere to reality. As always, my friends, thank you. God bless. And as always, stay pensive.